My dear viewers on Jewish Broadcasting Service, JBS, who regularly watch my program, Dimensions of the Daf, I was planning on recording 4 new programs this afternoon. Instead, I have been trying to get my son on a flight to Israel in order to join his unit in the IDF. Another son in Israel had an emergency call-up. My daughter in Israel, working 12-hour shifts as a nurse. She has 4 children, most of the time sleeping in bomb shelters. What we are confronting and have started confronting this week is a war for our existence and for our survival. Unfortunately, it is not unprecedented in Jewish history. There have been many times in history, going all the way back to biblical times, that people have tried to destroy us, to murder us. Famous biblical nation Amalek went out of their way to attack the Jewish people when we were most vulnerable, just after we had exited Egypt after years, hundreds of years of slavery. But Amalek is not a genealogical definition. Amalek, Rabbi Soloveitchik said, is an ideological definition. That is to say, when there is a group whose desire is to murder and destroy every last Jew, man, woman, child, the elderly, the young, when their goal is not just to murder the Jewish people, but to humiliate, to torture, and to cause psychological and physical pain, such a group is Amalek. They are ideologically, if not genealogically, Amalekites. We were attacked by Hamas and to a lesser degree Hezbollah, but they're behind it. Iran is behind it. Islamic Jihad, ISIS. These are all groups whose desire, it's not about territory. It's not about land. It is not even about justice for Palestinians. It is about murdering, humiliating, and torturing Jews. And that is the situation we find ourselves in. It is horrifying. And I will not go through the terrible, terrible images that I'm sure all of you have seen, which are nightmares during the day. The brutality, the complete barbaric nature of our enemies has revealed the incredible evil that we confront. The state of Israel confronts, but not just the state of Israel, the Jewish people all over the world. These are the same barbarians who bombed a Jewish community center in Argentina, who attacked synagogues, who are right now rioting around the world, expressing support for the beheading of children, for the torture of the elderly, for the gunning down of innocent civilians. Unfortunately, evil has many allies and many supporters. This, however, is not unprecedented in Jewish history. As I said, we've had many times that people have tried to destroy us. I would like to focus on one of those times to give us an idea of how we respond. Purim, when we were in approximately 2,500 years ago, the Jews exiled from Israel, and then to Iraq, Iran, what was called then Babylon and Persia, found ourselves under the control of the Persian Empire, with a king by the name of Xerxes in Greek, Chashiash in Persian, Achashverosh in Hebrew. And together with Haman, his prime minister, who the scroll of Esther identifies as a genealogical and ideological successor of Amalek, has hatched a plan to destroy every single Jew Their empire covered 127 countries. That means really the whole Jewish population of the world was their target. Men, women, and children on one day. What was our response historically and later on? Number one, we defended ourselves physically. Jews got weapons. Jews got permission to defend themselves, and we did defend ourselves against those planning these pogroms. And we killed thousands of those hate-filled anti-Semites. And we do not regret that. We acted in self-defense. That is number one. As the IDF is doing, as our brave soldiers, police force, security forces are engaged in battles, proactive and defensive, etc., against these barbarians. That is what the Jews did in ancient times, and that makes sense. It's a logical step to take. We should not sit back. We don't have to. Morality does not require us to commit suicide, does not require us to tie our hands and not respond to these barbarians. If civilians in Gaza are suffering as a result of this, that is on Hamas. That is on Islamic Jihad. That is on the heads of the Palestinian Authority who harbor and give solace and material support to these animals, to these barbarians. It is not on us. We are defending ourselves. They choose to hide their missiles in mosques. They choose to use schools as ammunition dumps. They choose that their fighters should hide amongst the civilian population. It is they who are responsible for civilian deaths, not only in Israel, but in Gaza, their own brothers and sisters as well. It is not on us. We must defend ourselves. We are obligated to defend ourselves by universal moral law, by Jewish law, Geneva Convention, whatever you want. We can, we must, and we are obligated to defend ourselves against these animals. And that is what the Jews did at the time of Purim. Secondly, if they are trying to eliminate us, our response at the time of Purim was to actually support each other. As you might know, on Purim we have various obligations, and they're all quite interesting. To give presents of food to our fellow Jews, to give money to the poor, enough for at least a meal, to have a large meal and invite guests. So what is our response to those who are trying to destroy us? The answer is sustain each other. Support the State of Israel, support the IDF, support the, unfortunately, new widows and orphans and widowers and bereft parents, and just to provide any support we can, whether it is material support through donations, and there's many worthy organizations collecting, whether it is material support in terms of helping collect tactical gear, whatever is required, whether it is giving comfort to people here who are traumatized, because almost every single Jew has a friend or a relative in Israel, possibly a friend or a relative in the IDF, and many friends or relatives who were murdered by these barbarians, by Hamas. So the second approach, first is physical self-defense. The second is to do exactly the opposite of what these enemies intend, which is they try to eliminate us, we support each other. We respond with kindness to each other. We respond with charity. We respond with physical and moral support. Third, they have attempted to destroy the dignity, to humiliate Jews, to destroy the Tselem Elokim, the image of God in the human being. They have succeeded in destroying their own image of God. These people have succeeded in corrupting and destroying their souls, in corrupting and destroying whatever vestige of divine image was left in them is gone. These people have destroyed that within themselves. They're trying to destroy that within us as well through humiliation and torture and suffering and pain. But we will not let that happen. We still have the image of God within us. acting with dignity, acting with love, acting with care, acting with support for each other, support for everyone suffering. That is the Jewish response. They try to destroy the image of God. We reinforce the image of God. They try to destroy dignity. We reinforce our dignity. Response number 3. Response number 1, physical self-defense, war. And that the IDF knows how to do with the help of God. Number 2, supporting each other morally, financially, in every way we can, through kindness, through comfort, etc. Number 3, they've tried to destroy the image of God and succeeded in themselves, but they have not succeeded in us. We will continue to encourage, we will continue to act with the image of God, Tselem Elokim, the dignity of the human being. Number 4, at the time of Purim, back then, and Jews have done this for centuries, we respond with prayer. We reach out to God, to our Creator. We pray. Many of our prayers are Tehillim, Psalms. They were written by King David. King David was not living in an ivory tower. King David was a warrior. He fought wars. King David fought injustice. King David was a man of this world, and he wrote these beautiful prayers that express the inner feelings of every soul, and that's why they've been adopted by so many millions of people around the world to express our feelings. So that is the 4th response. It is the response of prayer, and not necessarily in that order, folks. Right? But all of these are responses which are legitimate, which we have witnessed, and which we can glean from Jewish history. Apropos of the 4th response, I would like to read with you a psalm of King David, which is commonly recited when we are praying at times of tragedy. And feel free to say it with me, although this is not live, but Shir Amalois mima makim kraticha Adonai, a song of ascents. Out of the depths I call to you, God. Adonai shima b'koli tiyena oznecha kashuvot l'kol tachonai. Lord, listen to my cries. Let your ears be attentive to my plea for mercy. Im avonot tishmaria Adonai miyamod. If you keep account and guard all of my sins, who will survive? Ki imcha slicha leman tivarei. With you have the power to forgive, so that you may be held in awe. Kiviti Adonai kivta nafshi v'lidvaro hachalti. I hope unto you, God. Kiviti, as in the Hatikva. We hope. Our hope is in you, O God. V'lidvaro hachalti, and it's in your words that I await you. Nafshi l'Adonai mishomrim laboker, shomrim laboker. My soul, our souls, long for God, like a guard late at night, longing for the morning dawn, longing for that dawn. Yachel Yisrael el Adonai ki im Adonai achesed v'harabei emo fedut. The Jewish people wait and hope for God, because we know that with God is kindness and his great power to redeem us. V'hu yifdeh et Yisrael mikol avonotav, and he will redeem the Jewish people from all of our iniquities, all of our tragedies, and all of our sorrow. And then I'm going to read a prayer that we say in synagogues every Monday and Thursday. But I'm afraid to say a lot of us do not think about it because we just take it for granted and it's just part of the normal liturgy. But when I read this prayer, we understand now how relevant, unfortunately and tragically, it is. Listen to the words of this prayer and you will understand. Acheinu kol beit Yisrael, our brothers and sisters, the whole house of Israel, Hanatunim Batsara, who are in distress, Ubashivya, and in captivity. Ha'omdim bein bayam ubein biyabasha, whether they are in the sea or in the land. Hamakom yirachem aleim, may God have mercy on them. V'yotziem mitzara lirvacha, bring them out from pain, distress to relief. Ma'afela lo'ora, from darkness to great light. Meshibud ligula, from servitude to redemption. Hashta ba'agala, speedily at this moment, very soon. Bizman karov, speedily, soon. V'nomar amen, let us say amen. And finally, I will end with a beautiful prayer, which in our synagogue we say every Sabbath. Many synagogues do that, which is a Misha Beirach, a prayer and a blessing for the soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces. Misha Beirach Avoteinu Avram, Yitzhak v'Yaakov, he who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Hu yivarech et chayalei tzva Hagana Yisrael, may he bless the soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces, the Kochot HaBitachon, and all of our security forces. Ha'omdim al mishmarat seinu v'arei Eloheinu, who stand guarding our country and the cities of our God. Migvul Halvanon vad midbar Mitzrayim, from the borders of Lebanon to the Egyptian desert. Min hayam gadol, from the Mediterranean, ad lavo ha'arava, to the plains of the Arava. V'yabasha ba'avir v'yam, on land, in the air, and on sea. Yiten Adonai tovenu akamim aleinu nigafim lifneihem. May God place stumbling blocks and plague before our enemies. Hakadosh Baruch Hu, may the Holy One, blessed be He, Yishmor v'yatzil et chayaleinu, guard and save our soldiers, mikol tzara v'tzukah, from all trouble and distress, mikol nega u'machala, from all wounds and illness. V'yishlach bracha v'atzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yadehem, and send blessing and success in everything that they do. Yadber son'enu tachtehem, may He crush those that hate us beneath them. V'ya'atreim b'cheter Yeshua, and crown our soldiers with the crown of salvation, uv'ateret nitzachon, and with the wreath of victory. V'yikayem b'hem hakatuv, and may that verse be fulfilled in Deuteronomy that says, Ki Adonai Elohechem ha'holech imachem, lilachem lachem imovechem lo'ashia etchem, that God, your God, walks with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. V'nomar amen. Let us say amen. This is Mordechai Becher with JBS. Let us hope that very quickly we can return to our regular class dimensions of the daf, that all the captives will come home safely, all of our soldiers will come home safely, and Israel will be blessed with peace and security. Amen.